Hey, welcome everybody to Andromeda 7, the Gateway, your channel for community support, help, friendship, love, knowledge, and just plain being of value to others. If you're new to the channel, thanks for joining us. Be sure to hit the like and subscribe. And now I will toss it over to Theresa, our hostess with the mostest.
Greetings, everyone. Happy Friday, and I hope you all enjoyed your day. And I tell you, it's been the first time all week long that I've really felt relaxed. I sat out back in the sun almost all day, just took it easy, didn't have to do a whole lot, didn't even do a lot of yard work, just enjoyed nature, played with my dog, and grounded with Mother Earth, and it felt great. So I am
That's the way to spend your time.
Yeah, I didn't do spreadsheets or anything like that, so I had a good time. Yeah,
Good.
And I hope you all did as well. Yeah, and well, I tell you, we have a good team here tonight, and wonderful to see Mandi Moo again and hear all about her experiments and what she's finding out about how the Earth's energy is affecting the fluorescence and luminosity of crystals, and how that might have some bearing on our future if we could just tap into their energy a little bit more and get ourselves more receptive and open to what they provide. Lost technologies, for sure. And we also have with us tonight a guest, another friend of Brian's from All My Relations store, the owner of All My Relations, Heather Barrett.
Welcome, Heather.
Hi, thank you very much.
It's so good to have you here. And Heather knows all about crystals, as you all have seen from that shop of hers. And she teaches classes.
We learn more every day. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, ever expanding and finding applications and uses for them in our lives. Yeah, definitely. So we're so thrilled to have yet another member of your group with us tonight.
Absolutely.
And I think Brian's going to introduce everybody in that group at some point. I'm telling you. We love Desiree. We love Sophia. Sophia was fantastic. They're going to be coming, hopefully joining in whenever they choose to do so to our monthly astrology and numerology and tarot readings. Whenever they want to jump in, we're going to add Linda Brooks. Linda Brooks from our community is going to join us whenever she feels up to it. Hey, Linda.
She's in the chat.
Oh, hi, Linda.
Yeah, so it's fun. We're having a good time. We are. Welcome from Australia, Jules, and British Columbia, Karen. Karen is here, and Karen and Mandi will lead us in a great discussion. But before we do that, Lori's going to acknowledge all the folks in the chat room.
I can do that. Alexander, the Ganja Shaman, good to see you. I'm enjoying your channel. Yes, enjoying your channel very much. Thank you so much. Linda Brooks, pleasure to have you with us. Looking forward to having you on the show. Andrew Phillips, thank you so much for subscribing recently. Just saw that. Brenda, Milky's mom, yay, good to see you. Hope you're enjoying that picture. It sure looks good there where you've got it. Julie, good to see you. Welcome, welcome. Yeah. Regina, always a pleasure to see you. Hope everything's well with you. Beloved Abstract, sip. Good to see you.
Always sipping.
Always sipping. Love that. Let's see who else we've got in here. David Castle. Thank you for being in chat, David Castle. You are the best moderator ever.
Yes, he is.
Thank you. Elderberry's really good too, and I appreciate him being
and
here.
Mary, she's our right arm. Mary
Yep,
Wins.
Isby, good to see you. Yep, Mary Wins is an excellent moderator as well. All our moderators are just fantastic.
Top
people.
notch.
So appreciate them.
Yeah.
Sophia. Hi, Sophia. Good to see you. Glad you're with us.
Hi.
Just talking about you, darling.
Yeah, Scotty Boy. Mary Wins, of course. And Ruth Ann, good to have you all with us. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. So
yes. And welcome to folks from all my relations who I know are watching the program, but not in the chat room. Feel free to join us if you'd like to in chat. Get to know some folks in there. Weigh in on the conversation. Don't be shy. And if you can't, and you're just listening and chillaxing at home, welcome. Thank you for coming. And thanks for your continued support. We appreciate it. All right. Well, as far as announcements go, Mary Wins lost a dear friend today. And our heart goes out to you, Mary. I know that's difficult. And I know what they blame. I know what happened there. And seems like we've lost so many. Every single one of us has lost someone near and dear to our heart during this time. And we love you, Mary. And we stand with you, okay? We are your rock and your strength, along with Source, okay? Also, Isby has started his own channel finally. Congratulations, Ken. Congratulations.
Awesome.
We've already got a bunch of subscribers for him today. I put it out there on Discord. We've been sharing it in the chat rooms. And his very first show that he's got up and running is the one he did with Robert last night about Og.
Yeah.
Robert gave him the video, and he posted it on his channel until he gets his own program going. Yeah.
Good for him.
So I sent all that to you, Karen. So you can add his profile.
Perfect.
His Facebook
so they just
page.
go to the Crystal Network and check it out over there.
Check out
all the links. Yeah.
And Ken is a primary example of the inner works that's necessary to expand and grow, and he's been doing really good and getting better and better. And we all have
a card reader too.
Is he?
Yeah.
Is he reading the cards now?
He reads the cards. Oh yeah.
Well, then maybe he can join us once in a while for card reads. Yeah. All right. So hi, Max Vision. Welcome, Michelle Cannon Free. Good to see you. All right. Well, without any further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Brian and Heather. And Brian, you can tell us a little bit about Heather. And Heather, for the next 15 minutes or so, you can share your story with us. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, good evening, Soul Tribe. I'm so glad you all are here this evening with us. I met Heather 2 years ago last month, and her place totally changed my life. She has taught me a lot about stones and crystals. She is also the one that I learned all my protection from, and she's the one that taught me how to protect myself and how I've showed all you how to protect yourself.
Protection's very important. No ifs, ands, or buts about that.
That is true. Well, you all know, you've seen the videos. Her store is absolutely amazing. The energies that you just feel when you walk into that place. Not only that, it's the love that you feel when you walk into all my relations.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
With all those crystals, I would imagine walking in that place is pretty high vibe as it is, huh?
Yes. She is my spiritual godmother.
Aww. I love that.
Her and Jim are taking me on the spiritual path that I truly wanted to head down.
Nice.
So, no further ado, everyone. The beautiful Heather.
Heather, welcome.
Thank you, Brian.
Welcome
very much. Well, it's been a journey for us. I mean, I've done this for about almost 35 years now.
Wow.
And some people know that I was a police officer for 34 years.
Wow. I'm not surprised, actually. That's really interesting. I almost became a cop myself.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a journey all the way through. I had been on the police department for 6 years, and way back in the mid 1980s, Marion County encompasses the whole city of Indianapolis and then all the county areas. Back then, if you had 3 or more people working in the dispatch center, that's for the entire county. One could leave and go get lunch and bring it back for everybody. I was on overtime that day, so I got sent out to get lunch. As fate would have it, I got involved in an automobile accident. I was sitting still and got creamed. The injuries were fairly substantial. I did everything the doctors told me for 2 years. I can truthfully say that at the end of that 2-year period, they didn't know how to fix me. They wanted me to have a surgery that I flat refused. In 2 years, I put on over 140 pounds. I took 46 pills a day, pills that counter-affected the side effects of the pills I was already on with no end in sight. Briefly, about 1.5 years into it, I met a lady who lived down in the hills of Alabama. And this lady was something else. I mean, she lived in the hills of Alabama. She walked up to me one day and she says, you know, baby, I can help you. I said, I'm sure you can. Thank you. I'll just keep doing what the doctors tell me. 6 months after that, there was basically, we had a consultation conference. And the doctors flat said I wouldn't have the surgery. That's all they knew that would fix it. Maybe. They couldn't even guarantee that. And they said, I just have to keep taking the pills, and sorry about the weight gain. They didn't know what else to do. So I cried for probably 3 days. I really did. My marriage was a shambles. My kids and I were on our own by then. And I picked up the phone and made a phone call. And she just laughed. She just laughed. She says, I knew you were going to call me, baby. I said, well, I don't know why I am, but I am. So she had me and my 2 children come down, and we moved in with her teenage daughter, and her son for 3 weeks. And that's where she taught me herbs and stones and energy, meditation. I had already knew how to do that. They'd actually taught me through biofeedback therapy, which again was experimental back in the 1980s. And then from then on, I worked with her for another 2 years solid, on the phone, calling back and forth, going down there, or she came up to Indiana. At the end of 2 years working with this wonderful lady and everything she could teach me, I went back to work as a full-time police officer. I released 80 of the 140 pounds. I was down to 7 pills a day. 3 months after I went back to work, I was off of those 7 pills even.
Nice.
So outstanding.
I learned the ability to use the energies to help myself. Other people saw what happened and they want to know, how did you lose that weight? How did you get better? Can you show me? And that's what created all my relations.
Nice. So you learned to heal yourself.
Yes. A lot of visualization and a lot of work with it. But do I still go to the doctor? Oh, yeah. I'll let them tell me what's wrong. Not a problem in the world. If I can fix it, I fix it. If it's easier to let them fix it, I let them do their thing. But then I'll use my ability with the energies and the stones and herbs to speed up the healing.
So you're proactive about it. That's amazing. That's really, really good stuff. Good for you.
When we created all my relations, it's a Native American word, matakawasan. Matakawasan means we are all related. And that was why I chose the name All My Relations.
Oh, I love that. Wow. Excellent.
We had volunteers. If you could have seen, the first store was 3 businesses in one. And my brothers came in. They knocked down all the interior walls we didn't need. They repaired. They did all kinds of stuff for us and made one big business.
Wow.
Then we moved for 4 years later, we moved to our second building. And the same thing happened. We had volunteers came in. They helped us paint. They helped us clean it. They helped us do everything to get it set up. 5 years after that, we moved to where we are now, and I don't intend to move again. I'm not going to say I won't, because I know better than the universe.
Oh, yeah.
My intentions are not to do it again. But when you walk in, you feel the community we created, and you feel the love that everybody gave us in order to create this building. I mean, we'd have people come over at the old store, on their lunch break. I got 15 minutes. You got any boxes you want me to drive over to the other store? Or they'd come into the new store and they go, okay, I got a half hour. What do you want me to unpack? Do you want me to clean? Do you want me to paint? What do you want me to do? So it's
That's
that
amazing.
community energy that everybody feels when they walk in, the love that was put into it. So
It's everybody's store.
yeah, that's it. It
Yeah.
belongs to everybody. They tease me and they call it my playhouse because that's what it is. I enjoy it. And everybody who comes in, they can feel the energy. They really can. Some of them don't understand it, but they enjoy it. So
yeah.
Heather, did you have
recognize.
any brain trauma with that accident too?
the main thing I had neck, back, and shoulder injuries, but I also had what they call TMJ, which is a joint dysfunction on your jaw. And I'd never had migraine headaches in my life until that happened. But it gave me blinding migraines. I couldn't lift my arm above my shoulder. I had a lot of issues. Back then, nobody knew what it was. There were only 2 doctors in the entire state of Indiana who would treat it. One my insurance company sent me to, and then the other one the sheriff's department sent me to for treating. It was all experimental. They were going to break my jaw in 5 places. They gave me a 60% chance they'd do it right the first time. I said, and if it's not right, what do we do? They said, we break it again in 5 places. And usually, and that was my key word, usually, we get it right the second time. I said, nope, bones aren't broken. We're not doing it.
I tell you, Linda just said something, and that is the testimony is an example of how together we can work with the spiritual community to heal ourselves.
Yeah.
And
correct.
I had a similar experience in it, but it was a head-on collision driving a major bus. And I didn't have you all at the time. I had a very programmed religious community, but they were like my brothers and sisters. They helped me through it. The difference is I continued to take those pills and all that medication and gained 100 and some odd pounds, almost 89 to 100 pounds. And it would have been so much better to have had the support structure and access to people who knew about that kind of healing herbs and oils and just be more consciously aware. It took me more like 6 years to get through it. You see, and you went right back to work as a police officer within the 2 year. So it makes a difference. And to the extent that we can reach out to our neighbors and friends and families and share whatever we possibly can.
I have a question. Karen. I have a question for Heather. Actually, Heather sends for crystals in the community, likes information, and they always ask. And so interesting because, of course, you use different herbs and crystals for your healing. And you mentioned migraines, and then, of course, joint and muscle inflammation, pain, that kind of thing. What crystals for our community did you like the best, or which crystal did you use for those, a couple things did you like the best that worked for you?
She had me start out with a plain quartz crystal, a nice big crystal so that I could learn to feel the energy. And then once I began to feel that energy, she had me work with other stones. At the same time, because of all the things that were going on, the first probably 2 months I worked with her, all I carried was a clear quartz and a rose quartz. The rose quartz for the calmness, for the peacefulness, to try and relieve the anxiety that I was going. She put me on, believe it or not, I do not like licorice, and I do not like anything hot. So she had me on cayenne pepper capsules and licorice capsules.
Wow.
And hope that, she said, I said, you better hope they never open up in my mouth, because we couldn't even buy those capsules back then. You had to buy the empty capsule, and I had to stuff it with a little spoon thing to fill them up and make my own. But that helped because it cleared out my glands. So it started them. So they started functioning properly, which started clearing all the chemicals out of my body that I'd been taking
toxins,
for 2 years.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. So those are the 2 things she recommended highly. And
perfect.
Then we use fluorite, dark purple fluorite as well, to help with the bones. So
it's awesome.
Yeah, and that part of it, migraines, and of course, then with using the quartz crystal, the clear crystal. Of course, I know why she picked that for you exactly, and to keep track as a recording device of your progress. I'm sure, like, you know, when you as a personal power device, it would have recorded and kept track and of your progress. And for you now, just for the people and everything, with when you did it, I guess you would have had to have cleared it often, you know, since you were using it.
Yeah.
You must have had a process for clearing it and certain times for doing that during your healing process. Maybe you can explain about that a little bit as well, Heather.
She recommended highly that we use plain sea salt, and that when I wasn't wearing it or carrying it, I leave it in the sea salt. She said to clear it quickly with some sage if somebody else had gotten a hold of it and started to handle it, because I had children, and not that they would intend any harm, but my energy is my frequency, theirs is theirs, and it's the people who know stones recommend that. But she definitely wanted me to keep it at least 12 hours into sea salt to absorb out of the stone anything that might have started to block or build up in it that didn't need to be there. I didn't do that once or twice, and I actually shattered my first clear quartz. I broke it.
Too much.
I got very, very upset with my soon-to-be ex-husband and my energy and the imbalance I had, and then the fact that I hadn't kept the stone clear. That energy hit that stone, and it just popped, and it was in my pocket, and I felt it and went, and I'm on the phone to her right away, and she's going, "Did you clean it?" I said, "Well, I have to sleep with it. I have to this because I needed this and this." She said, "Did you clean it?" I said, "Not really like I should have." She says, "Well, a lot of good it's doing you now." I said,
hard lesson.
Yeah,
hard
but
lesson.
she had me return it to Mother Earth. She said it did its job.
That's
She
awesome.
said it did its job.
Yeah.
She says, "Now you learned a lesson." That's what we did.
Well, just take just a second here. That's fantastic. Welcome from Germany, Dalibor. I'm sorry about the time difference. I forgot we sprung forward. I should have reminded you of that. So that's on me, my dear friend. That's on me, my dear brother. And hello to Michael Musgrove and Project Skyfall, Doug Stack, everybody that's joined us since we had our opening. Sorry if we missed anybody. Andrew, good to see you guys. Thank you for coming. Heather, that's fantastic. And I can see why you ended up making this after you retired from the police force, making this your business and your daily life and routine.
Well, you know, the funny part about it was I kept saying I'm going to do it when I retire, when I have enough money. And if I had waited, I would have been bankrupt in the first 6 months. I would have been. I planned out to the penny everything, except I had no idea that to buy something wholesale, I couldn't sell one book and reorder one book. I'd have to order X number of dollars, and I would have been. My mother, bless her soul, she, I told her one day, I said, "You know, Mom, I'm never going to have that store. I'm never going to have the shop and teach these people what I need to." And she says, "Why not?" I said, "Because I'm never going to have enough money. I'm never going to have enough time." She said, "Well, what are you going to do?" I said, "Say a lot of prayers, and I guess jump in with both feet. And if the universe wants me to do this, it better help." And that's basically all 3 stores that we've had. Logically, on black and white paper, we never should have been able to get the financing for any of it. We never should have been able to do it all. And we just kept saying our prayers. If you want me here, you better keep helping. And we're still there. So that's basically what happened.
Oh, man. Thank you for sharing that.
Best way to do it. Jump in with both feet and just.
Yep. I opened the first store in 2002. I didn't retire from my full-time and part-time job until 2009. So I had that income to help supplement it, which is what kept it going.
But you did.
You did,
yeah. Thank you so much, Heather, because we just went through a lot of shows of new beginnings and change in the springtime and new starts, and people are all looking at different things and different ways of doing things now since the last couple years as well. So, I mean, that's perfect advice for people holding back, you know, but sometimes you just have to jump in with both feet and trust and know that it's the thing you should be doing. So
have faith.
Have faith. In yourself.
Yes, absolutely.
You know? Have faith, and people that are going to help you along the way.
Yep, they seemed to appear magically. When we needed a plumber, we had one come in. When we needed somebody who could fix this, they showed up.
Yeah,
so it was
that
Well,
says
it's
a lot.
beautiful store, and I can't wait to come see it. I'm coming up a day ahead of time before the gathering at the end of May, and I'm going to spend some time the next day with Brian, and he's going to take me to your store.
Ooh, that'll be wonderful.
So
We'll get to
I'm
see
putting
you.
dimes and nickels and pennies in jars because I'm going to hit that store.
There you go.
I'm going to hit it. Yeah, no, I can't wait to see it, and then see Stephanie. I mean, see Sophie and
Desiree.
Yeah, I can't wait to see them and meet Jim in person, shake his hand, and it's going to be a fun visit. Absolutely, I'm looking forward to it. First time I've been anywhere in about 2.5 years, so I'm just psyched about it. I don't care if it's $10 a gallon for gas. I'm going. I've made up my mind. I'm manifesting it. I'm already there. So
there you go.
Yeah,
good.
Galibor, I hope you're doing okay, buddy. How's everything?
We are at $10 a gallon over here.
Oh yeah,
wow.
Yeah.
In Australia,
it's literally like €2, 220 euros for a liter, and there's about 4 to the gallon. So yeah, it is about $10 a gallon over here.
We're about $5 a gallon here.
Mandy was telling me what it was in Australia. They go by liters, and there's like 3 liters to a gallon, and the cost per liter is that much, right?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, it's like 3.68 liters is 1 gallon, US gallon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't your friend Bud put $300 in his truck, Mandy? Just for one fill up?
Wow.
Yeah. So is Mandy yep, there she is. She's on mute. Well, Heather, we're gonna start the discussion and let you jump in on it with Karen and Mandy. And Mandy's got an interesting theory, and I think there's merit to it. And that is that if we can find a way to activate and increase the wavelength, sustain that signal from the crystals that are being affected by the Earth's energy, if we can find a way to tap into it and make that technology work for us to help open us up more to messages, to energy that's coming in to help us through this shift, the better. And Mandy has been experimenting it and finding ways to do it, or at least proving that it does occur. So Mandy, we'll kick it over to you, my friend.
Okay, so yes, I got really interested in luminous crystals, and I collected some, and then I'm like, nothing does anything without a good reason to do something in this earth. Like it's all has a good reason. So I'll just show you the luminous crystals.
All right.
These are cool.
Okay, I just got to hope this works because it's a little bit light here.
Looking good.
Well, there it goes.
Oh, yeah, you can see them, Mandy.
Yeah.
And what are those, Mandy? What types of crystals are those? Especially the greenish.
The green one is hyalite, so that's water opal. And the reason that is glowing green is for the little bits of plutonium trapped within it.
Yeah.
Wow. And this one here is lapis.
Aha.
And then we've got willemite. It's a normal looking stone. No color or anything to it, but just with this light on.
Kind of pinkish color, huh?
Yeah, and green dots. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah. There you go. Let me see if I can. There we go. Oh, yeah.
So you're activating the minerals within those crystals
by
changing the light?
Basically, oh, my glasses. Basically, what it's doing is it's exciting the electrons within the minerals. So you have like the little orbital path, which is, so if you think of like the structure of an atom and it's buzzing around on its little path and it excites it and it jumps up and it grabs this light and it doesn't know what to do with it. Or there's too much of it and it needs to release it, and it releases it as a different colored wavelength. And yes, we are noticing like bioluminescence, not only within the crystals, but within nature. We're seeing more bioluminescent things at the moment, mushrooms and fungi. I know the sharks off the coast, as well as like California, Australia, a few other places, you've got the bioluminescent algae, is it? And at nighttime, you can just see the waves crash and things like that. So we are noticing more and more bioluminescence within everyday life and the planet. And I believe this is because of the increase in energy, because each wavelength of light has a higher, so obviously red is your base length, and then you've got what's visible to us, which falls within the, you know, the red to ultraviolet spectrums. But then you've also got this new luminosity, and more colors are becoming like, well, I'm noticing more and more colors are becoming luminous.
So, and invisible. Okay. Yeah, I'll just, okay. So what my understanding, of course, is that when we see the luminescence, it actually has to do with absorption and refraction of light. And so it's because the crystal can't absorb that light, and everything has a light spectrum. Everything does within what we can see, and crystals all each have their own light spectrum. So what we're seeing mostly, Mandi is correct, is the refraction of what they can't absorb. And so I think it is changing in some respect, because if that's the case, then and we're seeing different luminescence and different color spectrums of moving from a red, green, blue spectrum to more a magenta spectrum. It must be because that they're trying to absorb, or that spectrum itself within our world, or the energy fields, Mandi, I guess, have changed. So there's something to do with the different light spectrum that they're trying to absorb but can't, and they're refracting it for us to see. Does that make sense?
Yes. Basically, for me, it's like, I think it's taking that light and it's converting something into a spectrum, or into a vibration that we are able to interpret in our current reality, which is in the form of light. But it does come from somewhere, and in a lot of crystal luminosity, they still don't know the reason behind it.
Well, isn't it related to the fact that they have to be activated by something? And light is, from what I understand, it has to do with cold light, what they call cold light. And that is, as the climate changes, as the temperatures change, they activate the molecules in these elements at various different wavelengths. And so as the sun becomes more clouded, further away, ages, we're getting less sun, we're getting more cold temperatures. And so it's changing the physics related to how those molecules take in light and refract light back. They're holding on to the wavelength at longer periods of time. And so they're absorbing at a different rate. And so they're going to put out a different color than what we have been accustomed to for hundreds and hundreds of years. They're getting more into the pastel range of
Correct.
colors. You showed me some
magenta.
The magenta,
we're moving into the magenta spectrum. Yeah.
So
well, I would say that this does tie in with an anthropogenetic theorem, and the fact that for thousands of years we've lived with certain basic frequencies of sound, light, and color that have surrounded us. But as of the beginning of the 20th century, we had the introduction of electricity, and we had radio that covered the entire globe, and radio frequencies that increased the frequency of the planet. In a sympathetic resonance kind of way, that what goes on the surface affects the entirety of the Earth. Then we had an increase in frequency with cell phones, with the World Wide Web and Wi-Fi, which also increased the frequency. And then we go from 3G to 4G to 5G to 6G. Those frequencies just keep getting higher and higher, which means that the colors are also getting more and more at a higher wavelength, which means you're going more from the red towards the violets or the ultraviolet. That's my take.
What if these higher frequencies, or these new frequencies that were coming in, were from Earth, and things like the 5G and those other frequencies were maybe to lessen the effects of this new energy coming through as such?
It definitely does have some kind of an effect, because when you take two frequencies and you hit them against each other, so to speak, they create an interference pattern, and that interference pattern depends on what's the source frequency 1 and what's the source frequency 2, and where they mix, you have like an interference pattern where certain waves cancel out, and certain waves get amplified. So that's naturally going to affect that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you add a spectrum of light to those interference patterns of vibration, you then get the light. It might slow down, it might speed up, but it also alters the way in which we then perceive the light as well. So
yes,
it could be
correct.
a number of things.
And
but
wouldn't that have an effect on our...
That's energy.
mm-hmm.
Wouldn't
Good
that
point.
have an effect? Wouldn't that also have an effect on how we use scalar energy and other energies that we've been using all along to help us with balance, to clear our chakras, to help in the healing? How is that going to affect, or does it affect us in a positive way?
Does it amplify it?
Does it amplify it? Yeah.
Well, I think it ties in with the general raising of the consciousness.
Okay, so it makes us more receptive and more open to receiving those energies. Go ahead, Mandi.
But when you talk about the scalar waves, so you've got fluorescence, you've got phosphorescence, which is where it holds the light and emits it after you've turned off the UV light, still emits that light. And that can be known to change the scalar frequencies within its local vicinity because it's letting off photons. And we know photons change the scalar resonance of the environment.
Now, before Karen jumped on before the show, I was telling Mandi about this study. My uncle and cousin were both involved with the National Geographic surveying. They were pilots and test pilots during the atomic bomb testing.
Right.
And one of them worked, and then one was with Army Map, did all the mapping, and the other was more geological surveys. And this was back during World War II, or post-World War II. And so I found this study, Karen. It was published in, I think, 1958. And it was a geological survey dealing with this topic. And they took every single, let me see if I can bring it up here real quick. They took every single one of these elements that they could find. There's only about 50, as Mandi's, if we go to, if Lori can go to Mandi's page on the website, Mandi talks about the fact that there's only 15% of all of the Earth's minerals that have this luminosity. And there's different types and different classifications. And they did an infrared luminescence and minerals study from the Geological Survey. And they mapped out something like over 1,500 different elements from all over the world. They did something called a microscope technology that they were using. It was a box with lenses in it and a light bulb, and they were playing with the different wavelengths and different energies and frequencies, all these different minerals, and they classified them. Mm-hmm. So there are literally pages and pages and pages of charts showing low energy, medium energy, high energy, how to manipulate them, how to activate them, how to get more out of them. And so it's information that backs up Mandi's studies. But what was interesting here is that they weren't looking at them from, at least they weren't telling us about it, that they weren't looking at them for their properties in terms of how it could help us technologically make advancements in health and healing or anything else. But they were looking at certain types of technology to be used, in war and in technology for surveillance.
Well, of course.
Of course. But they were also, and I thought you would find it interesting, Karen, the primary reason of this particular document was to outline which of these elements would be most helpful in prospecting. To help us find valuable minerals and valuable metals that we could use for other types of technology. So they were definitely, read between the lines, they're definitely trying to weaponize and take advantage of the power that this small 15% of the elements contain. We're trying to figure out how to activate it
and use them
for that purpose. So it's up to us to figure out to go back and Mandi.
It's already been weaponized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Mandi, your page here on the Crystal Network, if Lori scrolls up a little bit, and there's more of the story, and she goes to that other section. You're actually, or maybe she's already there. You're already talking about it, Mandi, about how there are references in ancient documentation or records about how they were able to utilize certain crystals for certain purposes. Do you want to address that?
Yeah,
so we just need to rediscover it.
Well, there's so many cultures have different references to sunstones, moonstones, sun mirrors, these things that glowed and held light and released the light of the sun and things like that. Not to mention how vigilantly so many cultures followed eclipses and things like that. You know, it's a perfect time it's not like a sunset. It doesn't take forever. It's a perfect time to release light. We know that the energy and frequency at the time of an eclipse is different. And then, like I said, a lot of these cultures had like these sun mirrors. Even in alchemy, there's a very proficient use of different sun mirrors. And even still, there are things that were created with these sun mirrors and bouncing them through vials that we still cannot create today once it was said that these sun mirrors were broken in end of 1600s, I believe. You know, so it's quite interesting. But and not only just you have references to sun mirrors and things like that. You've got I'm sorry if I say this. It's the Quartz Ute rattle, and it's a Native American quartz rattle that was made out of cowhide. And they would hit it and it would light up, display luminosity because of the quartz inside. Like these ancient cultures used these crystals, and we're learning that so much of what they did, nothing was just for the chance of it. Like they had knowledge that we kind of dream of having now. So they used these in a very meticulous and ways. And I think that it's now just going to really start coming into like the view of science. You've even had different, on that site, there was Dr. William Crookes, who was a physicist, and in 1895, he helped create X-ray. And he later went on to say that he believed he was getting information come to him from what he called the ghost lights and rays and things like that. So it's really interesting, like how different cultures and even scientists, like modern science, I guess, has looked at crystal luminosity, because there's definitely something behind it. It's not just doing it to look pretty. It's definitely a reason why it's doing what it's doing.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask Jules, because Jules has been talking about our crystalline structure, our brains, we are walking crystals, and returning to that crystal and water and how that works together for the energy. So Jules, what do you make of all this, what she's finding out here? Does it jive with what you're saying? And we're evolving our bodies?
Well, excuse for the wind, and Bryce is here too, as he just amps up his voice. Well, first of all, anatomy, it just says anatomy. So we are an atom, me. And of course, then you've got photons. Now, remember, this is coming from my way of looking at words. Now, pH is the power of hydrogen, the hydrogen, which is the aqueous vapor, and that's what it used to be called. And we're going into the age of Aquarius. OTO, because if you look at the word photo, you have pH, the power of the hydrogen, and OTO, if you look at the way it's shaped, it's scales. You've got the cross and the two circles. So what's a photo? It's positive and negative, isn't it? When you used to take photos, you had the coloured or the black and white, and then you had the negative. So in the word, it tells you it's balanced. And that OTO is actually the word Ottoconian, That's OTOCONIA. I think their crystals are in your ears, which keeps us balanced. And they're made out of shell, which is calcium carbonate. So that's shell was before we were formed, because the calcium carbonate is in our ears, and that keeps our balance. So the word itself says the water, the power of the hydrogen is balanced in, because the N, because you got photo in, right? The N on the end, right? I won't go into the Hebrew language with all of that, but that's how I work it out. Okay, by looking at the word, how I pull the spell apart. So as the crystalline that's inside of us, which for me is the actual fascia, which is our membrane, and that's the water brain. So that runs around all of us, and that's what we're ingesting now, is this photon light that's activating and changing our crystalline structure. That's my way of working it out. And Brycey's making a hell of a racket, so I'm going to stop.
It's funny you say that, because we even display luminosity within us. When you talk about the photo, if I take a photo of somebody, 9 out of 10 times, their eyes will be red in the photo because of the introduction of light. And even our bones are made of hydroxyapatite. So I have trouble opening my mouth around that one. And apatite.
I would too.
Say it 5 times really fast.
Yeah.
Apatite is it's a luminous crystal, not only with the introduction of light, but it's also triboluminescent. So if you crack your knuckles, if you could see inside yourself, you would see little pops of blue light being let off. So you even have this, even when you have a great thought, or you're following a different brain path, it lights up inside, and we have so much luminosity going on within ourselves as well.
Because this is the universe, and that's when, because we've been programmed with the spell, and because when Julianne I pull the word apart, and you all think, oh my goodness, well, what that's doing is actually firing the neuron onto a different pathway than the one you've always seen. So you start to activate different parts of your universe, and you start to see things in a different way than the one you've always seen. So that's right, what pulling the spell apart, like I do, starts you to look at it from different angles. And then, of course, angles is all to do with sacred geometry. And when you're able to see everything from every angle, then you're balanced, aren't you? Because you're open to all of that, all of it. You're just open to it all, and not going closed-minded and saying, oh, no, that's not how it is.
Yeah.
So,
and also don't forget the fact that that the pineal gland also contains crystals, and the pineal gland, since we're talking about photons, is the only place outside of the human eye where you can find retinal cells, namely rods and cones, which are photosensitive. So it's actually an organ deep inside the brain that's like a third eye, literally. The other organ that can form crystals would be the kidney.
Kidney stones,
true.
crystals.
Definitely.
Yeah. Huh.
And kidney in Hebrew means the reins. And so where do your kidneys sit? They sit down the base there. And if you put, as if you were riding a horse, right? So the reins. So where does that point come to is the center point, doesn't it? When you're, you know, so that actually, if you look at it as the triangle, your kidneys are at the base, and it comes up to, say, your thymus here, which is your inner child. And they, of course, then you've got your dendrites, which is your rhododendron, which means tree, and they're messenger cells that go all the way out through your body. So, you know, if your kidney, if you're not balanced, you can't ride your horse quite.
And it's interesting that the German word for kidneys is Nieren. Nieren.
Nieren. Well, you look at the word kidney. It means born of the child.
Kid.
And in Czech, it's ledviny, and vini means guilty. So
Oh, that's interesting.
It's interesting when you go into the spells. I tell you, when you break them down.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's interesting. And Mandi, you mentioned, of course, one of the things about taking pictures about the red eye, right? And I think that's because your pupil, it's not dilating quick enough. And again, it has to do with absorption and refraction of the light. And that's why all of a sudden it's red eye, because again, the eye's not being able to absorb and it's refracting it, and you get the red eye or the refraction of that spectrum, because your pupil's not adjusting quick enough for the picture, the flash, I guess, I think. Right.
Yeah.
And again, with that word rain, well, I'm on that now. It's REIN, right? So re is again, and what's next? It's inside of you. Again inside. Again in.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And it's a gain. When you go inside, it's a gain.
Yes, it is a gain.
Oh,
exactly. That's so cool.
Heather, what do you think about all this so far from what you've heard?
It's pretty interesting. I've done a little bit of reading and research on it, but it's interesting to hear that other people from all the way around. I mean, you guys are from all different countries and you're saying a lot of the same things. So I'm really,
I was going to ask, Heather, you brought a certain stone as well, right? That
I brought 2 different stones I thought you guys might not have seen already. I knew Mandi had quite a few, but have you heard of the Uper lights?
I heard of them, yes.
Okay. I brought a couple. I'm not so sure. We'll get maybe Jim to turn the light off here in the kitchen if I can get him to hear me.
Yo, Jim.
They just look. Yeah, let me get over. There we go. I figure out where I can move it to. It just looks like a regular brown, gray, black stone. These are actually out of the Upper Peninsula in Michigan. And hey, Jim. We'll get him to turn the light off real quick. And I'll put the UV light like Mandi had. Yep. Right, good. Figure it out. Can you see the orange? It's probably not showing it up as
like
well.
a pinkish. I saw a little bit of pink.
Maybe pull it back. I'm not sure how to make this thing
Just
work.
have Brian hold his hand out. Put it in Brian's hand.
You do it.
And lift your hand up a little bit higher, Brian. Above your banner there. Here we go. There you go.
There now. Shine them. Oh, there. Oh.
Yeah,
I see the orange.
Yeah.
Halo.
It's really bright. There you go. Now you're getting quite a bit of orange on it.
It's an orange fleck in there.
Yeah, it's a bright. When you put a UV light on these are bright, brilliant orange.
Oh, there you go.
Quite a few of them. It's actually it's a form of soda light.
Oh,
and
is it?
A lot of people, to pick it up. Most people are used to seeing that dark blue with sometimes a little bit of blue, gray, or a little bit of
gray, black fleck.
But they use this stuff for healing. With they say the energy helps with inflammation. And women who are going through menopause, they say that's good for them. It helps reduce some of the inflammation in joints. But they found those up in Michigan, and they were just playing with the lights on them. They said it's in our black box here. You can see how bright it is, but I don't think we can get them to where you guys can see them in the thing. Yeah.
Oh, black flecks in that one.
Yeah, it shows a lot of black flecks and gray, and that's it. It's got a mineral called cyanite, and that's what fluorescence and makes it that bright orange color, the cyanite. So the only other one I brought that I thought would be fun, these, and again, the light's showing them on them, I'm not so sure. Try this. Can you see that it's shining yellow?
Shiny like a metal.
Yeah. It's actually, you can see through it. I don't think going this way. We can see it, but I don't think you guys can see as much of it. It's golden anhydrous, and they're actually quartz crystals, and they have petroleum trapped inside it. And they have started calling these golden herkimers, and they are not herkimers.
Oh, no, they're hydroinclusions.
They're hydroinclusions, right? They've actually got a little methane gas bubble in there and it's that gas then with the petroleum oil that's in it. And it looks like a regular crystal. You can sort of see a little bit of something, but not really until you put a light on it. And then it's bright yellow and sometimes green.
So Heather, I just a question quick, because I've never looked at this before, but you say what's in the inclusion, the hydro inclusion? What did you say was in it?
It's got a little bit it's like a gas bubble, a methane gas bubble, and then it's got petroleum oil in it. Sometimes like
a cavitation then within it. So
yeah,
that's interesting. So
fascinating.
Yeah. Within. So you have
those come out of Pakistan. I've got a gentleman that I see usually 2 times a year, and he brought them to me. They tried making some jewelry with them, but they really didn't show hardly any.
No.
It just looked like a little clear crystal on the jewelry, but when we put the light on them, it's like, wow.
They see here's Linda says, wow, I'll get this crystal to use with kudzu root to help women with pre and post menopause. Kudzu helps with estrogen balance.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly, Linda.
There you
go.
Back on.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Yeah.
There you go.
They use that the golden hydros. They're good for balancing the emotions, and they really, really help with connecting to the energy of Mother Earth. It helps bring that balance between you and the energy with Mother Earth. So that's what they believe anyway.
See, that's what my question is if we've got this changes in energy, Mandi, and if the crystalline structures are, if things are being activated in different ways, and it's opening us up and helping us to receive, are we going to need to relearn? I'm just now learning which crystals affect which body parts and parts of my.
We're remembering. So that's what we're doing, is we're putting it all back together, and we're just we're going in the age of knowing. So it's not like we have to learn, we're remembering everything.
Remembering. Okay.
That's what,
so
because that's what water holds memory. Yeah, water holds memory, and that's crystal that Heather said. It was high. Did you see it had high, golden hydra, whatever the last bit was? Well, that's water.
Yeah.
Even though it says petroleum and the other, when you pull the word apart, it tells you what's in it. And because it said it was golden, well, you know what Mandi often says what the oil actually was, wasn't it, Mandi? It was tree roots.
Yeah.
Petroleum. It all comes back to the trees, guys.
It does. The pressure. Yeah. The pressure.
Oh, there's a pretty wood there.
Well, even the name petroleum, literally Petrus means rock, and oleum means oil of. So it literally means oil of rock.
Interesting. Wow.
But yes, I as the energies change, I believe more of these crystals are going to become luminescent. I don't believe we're going to have to relearn anything, because, as you know, we've spoken about, it's energy sensitivity and things like that. So we're going to come into our new energy. We're not going to have to learn, because you're going to know that, hey, I vibe with this crystal when my knee hurts, or it's going to be your own vibration. Because at the end of the day, I can go, hey, Theresa, this crystal will be great for this, but it might be great for me, but it might not be on your vibration. So yeah, we're going to know, and we're going to feel that vibration more. But I also, like I said, I'm going to believe there's going to be more of a change in the rock. So hopefully this will work, and I can show you phosphorescence. Bugger. There we go.
Oh yeah, you can see it. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, see how it holds
glows. Yeah, it holds it. Yeah.
It holds a charge.
Sure does.
Yeah, so it will hold the light. So I have noticed a couple that didn't hold the light to begin with are sort of seeming to hold light and stuff now. Amber is one of the ones that I've noticed recently. Amber is holding the light really, really well lately, and it didn't when I first started doing this about 2 to 3 years ago. So I do believe there will be a change in how the crystals are then interacting with the light as everything else.
Well. Yeah, I think so too, Mandi. Yeah.
And I also I have a feeling as more become luminescent, we're also going to see an increase in piezoelectric qualities in some crystals as well.
Yeah, and those ones will be desirable as well because of the charge they're going to be able to exude, right? And it'll be interesting when they take the certain crystals and apply pressure and certain energies to activate them and what they do. So because I like, playing with that, as far as applying pressure to quartz crystals to activate and get a charge, actual electrical charge off of them. So it'll be interesting to start monitoring that, Mandi, with the experiments as we go along, right? Is doing Tesla technology and coils and doing different pressures and seeing the differences now from past experiments and seeing the differences in the charges.
Go ahead, Jules.
And the word amber, it comes from actually how they got that. That's electron. That's where the word amber comes. It was when they rubbed the amber together. That's how it was created. The word electron. And what's amber? It's the resin from the tree. And what's that? That's plasma. And what's our plasma? It's gold. So it's all it's just exciting.
Yeah. I've got a question for Mandi. I was very curious, Mandi. How did you get involved with the crystals? What got you involved into lighting them up and doing your experiments? What is the catalyst? And I think she froze.
Okay, so
It might be. Oh,
it's lag.
Okay.
I had a dream. I had a dream about something. I had a dream about lighting up the rocks, and then I came across in 2018. I came across information about the Upalite when they were just starting to open up about that, and I'm like, that's really cool. I'm going to find the Australian one, and then I was there in the big crystal warehouse with my head in a box in a UV light, people looking at me weird, and just noticing how many crystals were luminous. And it's just, I was like, this is really cool. Yeah. So that's how I guess I got involved in it.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow,
definitely. And just from there it grows, and then from there it went from the light to like, oh, I should hit it with electricity and see what happens, and then hitting them with electricity to excite them first, and then I'd hit them with the light, and then I'd get better luminosity out of them. So yeah, it just sort of it grew from there, and then from there I'm just like, what else can I do?
We got a couple pictures here of your some of these being illuminated. This is really fascinating.
So you're seeing the secret life of crystals.
Yeah.
When you do that, it's their hidden
I used
side.
to tease her.
Side.
I used to tease her a little bit, and I used to say, "They're sentient beings, and you're aggravating them."
That's
right. And you're tormenting them. You're zapping them with flame. I used to tease her about it, but that's how you find out, And others that suffer trauma, crystals suffer trauma, natural earth trauma. Cracks, splits, from pressure or heat, and that changes their wavelength and properties. Go ahead.
Because basically everything has consciousness, and not just the organic and inorganic, but as regards organic, you have organic crystals. Like, for example, coal. Coal is pure carbon, and in its anthracite form or in its diamond form, it's a crystal.
Mm-hmm.
So you can have organic crystals, and as a matter of fact, a lot of pure organic compounds are crystals, like vitamin C, or whatever.
We're approaching an hour.
Elementals.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll just put it at our whole existence in this reality is crystalline in nature. The tetrahedral crystal. Just you can even go on the site and look at some of the theories emerging. But our whole existence is crystalline in nature. That's why the mineral kingdom is the base, or the number one kingdom there. So we all spring from that.
Well, we've reached an hour in our program already. It's gone by like lightning fast, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And but before we have some closing remarks, I would like to ask a question. I can't help myself. Okay, does size matter?
No.
You have a little crystal, you have a big crystal. They're both the same.
No, it
depends. Does it change energy? Do you get any more power output? Lori, there she goes. She had to do it. She just
Yeah, put it up there. It's
She's
beautiful.
and a bull ring, Toro with me with that thing.
Big double terminated.
It's my favorite.
The reason I ask is certain telescopes require, to get a certain prism, a certain projection, they use different crystals, different size crystals. So I'm asking for energy purposes and healing. Does it matter what size crystal?
I would say frequency. They grow crystals to frequencies is what they do. And the frequencies are used for different things. So, so that's what they grow them. Yeah, in labs.
And too. Mandy's been showing us how her crystals are growing. She puts them in the dirt, covers them up with dirt, and they grow. I've got a couple that have been sitting on a shelf for a year. I'm like, they got babies on the side of them now. Not inside, not that they're growing in circumference, but they're little pieces
little buds, they're bugs, little bugs on the side.
Yeah.
So, bugs.
So is there any, they talk about people growing crystals. I'm like, well, you don't need to grow them to get the kind of energy that you need from them. You don't have to grow them. They're just going to grow naturally, but so it doesn't matter in terms of your healing.
They're always expanding then.
Are any closing remarks from folks? Heather, what
you said there's been there about it.
Go ahead, Mandy. Go ahead.
Oh, you said you've had them about a year. I'm just wondering, because that's when around the same time we were talking about the crystals growing. So I'm wondering if once you became aware the crystals could grow, if they started growing. And it's that change in consciousness when you're like, oh my God, it's then your energy that has then interacted with its energy output, and it's now growing.
Now I will tell you, last year was my first year experimenting with crystals in my garden, right? Remember how I was burying the crystals in the potted plants in my greenhouse? And my squash just like 2 days later was like, it was explosive growth. It wasn't just a little bit of growth. It was explosive. So I kept adding crystals all around my plants and in my pots, and I would tell people who aren't spiritually aware of what I'm doing, and they're like, what the hell are you talking about? It really does make a difference.
Oh, it does. What I do, I have so much quartz crystals because of collecting it for so long, and my whole gardens are borders of them.
I have them in my flower beds.
Yeah, but what I do is I put them in the bottom of the pot. You know how you put rocks in the bottom with your soil for drainage and stuff. So throw your some crystals, rocks, and put them in the bottom and mix them in, and as well as favorite ones around the top too. So
Brian Lunsford put me on to a place where he gets these bags of clear quartz crystals, and he dumped them out on the table, and they're about the size of your finger, and you can get you could get like a 10-pound bag for a couple bucks. It's really not that much, and you clean them off or not, and put them in the bottom of your put 2 or 3, mix it in with your other rocks and dirt, but I wouldn't dump handfuls of them in there. You only need 1 or 2 depending, and every single I have 32 pots, and every single one of them has a crystal in it.
Nice. That ought to do it. Yeah, and I bet you got really good growth on all your plants.
Well, I went out there one day, filmed it. I showed you all on video, and 2 days, 3 days later, I went, oh my God. I turned on the video again. I said, people, do you see this? And then I deliberately withheld the crystals from 3 of the plants. They were almost half the size of the others, and they didn't bear as much fruit.
Interesting.
I got 2 or 3 peppers instead of 10 or 12 peppers.
Yeah, and people get the same results when watering plants with water that's been kept inside a pyramid versus water that's been just not kept inside a pyramid, and they've observed the same type of results.
But I did, and Mandy, I have to write down the names of which ones they were. I did put some on the surface of the plants, the topsoil, and to see what would happen after the sun had activated them all day. And I did have glowing crystals in 2 or 3 of the containers.
Wow.
Now, I don't know what effect, if anything, that would have on the plants overnight, if any at all, but I would imagine it's an energy boost of some kind. Wouldn't it be for the plant?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, you're capturing it. Sure.
Yeah. So I'm going to actually be better, more diligent at taking notes and writing it out, Mandi, as more of an experiment, what exactly I'm using. Paying more attention to what it is and the quantity and how I'm doing it and charting it out. And then I'll send you the photographic results of it, because it does make a difference in that greenhouse, believe me. Because I don't get a lot of sun. I don't get full sun all day long. I'm in a forest almost. So I get 4 to 6 hours of sun, which isn't enough. And these crystals are helping make a difference. So just wanted to share that with everybody, because it really, really does work.
Yeah, it does. Yep.
Yeah. All right. So any announcements? Anybody have anything else they want to add? Closing remarks or more thought?
Just about next week's show, I guess. We can start because it's up there. If you want to show it, Lori, I think it is next week, right? We're doing the Stones and Bones.
Yes, Stones and Bones. It's on the advertisement on the homepage.
So just
Mandi's.
go to just go to.
Yours.
I just want to show the guests, if anybody wants to check out, and go under the Crystal Science and Stones and Bones.
Okay.
There. Yeah. And then this is next week's guest here. Awesome. Yeah. So this is our special guest, John Robertson Horenberg. And John was mining with me the whole mining season up in the Yukon for the gold mining season. And of course, up there in that whole area, the permafrost, when it melts, we collected all kinds of the Ice Age mammal bones. Just scroll down and anybody can check it out. It's all kinds of reference material here. There's books. If you keep going, Lori, just keep going down. See, there's about each of the types of the mammals, if you want to check it out ahead of time, and the steppe bison, the woolly mammoths. It shows all the bones we ended up collecting. Yeah, shows all the bones that we ended up collecting up there, and there's videos. It shows Parker. They found the 3 full-size skeleton woolly mammoths this past season, so there's articles in there. So this is who's coming on next week. If anybody wants to check it out ahead of time, there's all the research material, all the bones we found.
Wonderful.
And so the page is there.
I'm looking forward to that. Can you go to the home page, Lori, when you leave here? Back to the home page for just a second, sweetie. Thank you. I appreciate it. And go down a little bit. Okay, so right at the top of the home page, down a little bit more to the gathering.
Yep.
I want to remind people we're having that gathering at the end of May at Brian's place. It's a big camp out and for everybody. So if you haven't heard about it yet, please go check out the homepage here on Crystal Quartz Network, Crystal Network, and register. Send in your registration and your fee, and make sure you get a piece of land there to pitch your tent or bring your camper. Okay, so remember that. And then down a little bit further, don't forget to order your angel cards from Al Ciriello. Right there, the 72 Angels of Magic card deck. It's ready for ordering, and you can place your orders right there on that site. And we appreciate everything that everybody does. Thank you, Lori. And keep coming at us with topics. We've got somebody who's going to be joining us. He's going to do a series of 3 shows on the ground from Egypt. We're going to pre-record and talk to him about a few things. He's a great guy. His shows are coming up soon. So we've got a lot of fun planned between now and the end of May before that gathering. And Heather, we really appreciate you taking the time out to be with us.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks for having me. I enjoyed it.
Pleasure. Such a pleasure. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Her links to her website are on the Crystal Network as well, everybody. So if you want to check out all my relations and see that store and see what it has to offer, we got some great tarot decks from there, including Desiree's.
Yeah,
selling some of those, and all kinds of crystals. And I don't know if you have the oils in there or not.
Yep, we have essential oils, fragrance oils, incense. We carry quite a bit of different things. About 100 different kinds of herbs. About 100 different kinds of herbs as well. Yes.
And candles. Don't forget your candles. And all smelly things. And there's carved crystals and jewelry and There's everything there. So, and there's all kinds of links all over the Crystal Network to all my relations all over the place. So,
that's right.
Wonderful.
yeah, just click
Thank
on
you.
any of them. Okay.
Thank you so
Good
much.
Thank you all. And thank you, Mandi, for
Thanks,
that
Mandi.
journey. And listen, if you haven't checked out or seen Mandi's videos on her Facebook page, they're there on the Crystal Network, and you can see her experiments. You can see how she's lighting up these crystals and agitating them, and why I was teasing her.
Yeah. And check out her page because it's got all her adventures and different things. And we're going to be posting about the gem show and different things, but it shows all kinds of pictures and footages about where she's been and all her journeys there. So yeah, so check out Mandi's page.
Well, she's studying the natural geology too. It's not just about the luminescence of crystals, or even how she makes her own bismuth grow. She's uncovering a lot of information about the geological changes in the structure and the land and everything. So
fascinating work.
Quite the intrepid explorer she is.
Yes, she is.
You know. Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. Much love and favor to each and every one of you. May all those who need healing be healed. Be healed and know that you are loved. You have value. You are worthy. And no matter what these changes are in our environment, we're going with the flow. We're being the best versions of ourselves we can possibly be. Spreading that light and that love and that energy. So whatever you need, our thoughts are with you, and understand that Source has your back and Mother has your back. Many blessings and have a great evening, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Much
you.
love.
Thanks, Theresa.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.